Hello, everyone. I'm the Reverend Beth Simmons, and welcome to our midweek moment. It is the third week in Advent, and I hope that you are not finding yourself too busy or stressed out about that fact, and that you are finding times to be still and to find peace, that you're still looking for hope. Have you asked yourself recently, where did I find hope today? I hope so. I hope so. But this third week of Advent is typically the one where we celebrate joy. It was Gaudete Sunday this week. It was the Feast of Mary. We read in church the Magnificat, which is Mary's song that she sings when she is visiting her cousin Elizabeth, who is pregnant with John, who will become John the Baptist. And it is a moment where we have transitioned from the 2 weeks before, hope and peace being words mostly focusing on the prophets and foretelling what is to come. And now we are shifting towards the joy and next week the love of the birth of the Christ child. On Sunday, during our time for all ages, I asked the 2 children present, who happen to be my children, what joy is. What does that mean? And my 5-year-old said happiness. And my 7-year-old took a little bit more time to reflect, and he said happiness. He said, like when you open a Christmas present and it's exactly what you wanted. And everyone sort of got a little chuckle out of it, but also I think really felt a connection to that and to that definition, because joy is deeper than happiness. Happiness is a very fleeting thing, and it's very circumstantial, right? And really, it could be applied to the gift also, but I think what goes deeper and where that joy comes out of receiving the gift, just the gift that you wanted, is the feeling of being known. When you receive for Christmas or for any other occasion, or no occasion at all, a gift that is just right, just what you want, it's not the gift, the thing that creates joy. That makes us happy. Okay, yay, I got the stand mixer that is going to help me bake, or I got the jersey of the sports team that I love, or or the remote control dump truck that I really, really wanted. Instead, it's the knowledge that someone knows you well enough to know what will bring you happiness and has given it to you. That's where that joy comes in. And so obviously that can happen without the giving of gifts. It could be the giving of a compliment on some aspect of our work, or our craft, or our appearance sometimes that we've particularly worked hard on, or we really put time and energy into our style, and so a compliment really feels like it touches us deeply. Why? Because it makes us feel known. And that is part of the joy that comes in this season of Advent. This knowledge of God knowing us more deeply, perhaps, than we even know ourselves. That ability to truly see through our facades and our masks and our layers of trauma and self-doubt and pain that the world sort of piles on top of us often, and is able to offer us just what we need. We are so known. And there is joy too that comes in learning of about something that is unfamiliar. I just was reading a message from the Creation Justice Ministries about a program called Blue Theology, and I'd never heard of this before, and now I am delighted to know that it exists. And it is a program that brings middle and high school students from around the country to, right now, just to California and Texas, to work at the ocean, at the seashore. These are students who are interested not only in science and biology and marine biology in particular, but also in pairing it with a love and protection and stewardship of God's creation. So they blend those together and teach these students how to care for the oceans, particular part of God's creation, and they do so in a reflective theological way. And they are working on expanding that to spread to also North Carolina and to Maine, for those of you around here. So I would encourage you, check them out, Blue Theology, and if you feel so inclined, maybe give them a gift. But anyway, so in their email, they were talking about a story about this past summer when the students there were out, and their project for the day, their task was to count sand crabs. Because sand crabs are an indicator species, meaning that their health and presence is a reflection of the health of the greater ecosystem and environment. So if there are a lot of them, it's a healthy ecosystem. If there aren't that many, that means it is not a healthy place for the species that are supposed to be there. So when they began this, they sort of were hesitant, and many of the students really thought that the sand crabs were weird and scary and icky, and they didn't really want to touch them. And then one student scooped one up and flipped it over and had a shout of joy and said, "She's pregnant." Very, very Advent appropriate. She's pregnant. And they all ran over to look at this little sand crab and all of the little eggs that this mother sand crab was holding in her belly, and what they learned was that there could be 45,000 eggs that one mother is carrying. And in that moment, that going from this unfamiliar, strange thing that they didn't really care that much about, to this moment of learning, knowledge, and seeing the possibilities of this creature, transformed it into joy, and then into advocacy. They now saw this thing not as an other, as weird and alien, but as a fellow creature in the world full of hope and possibility. And I think that can transfer into our world as well. How many of us sort of brush by concerns in the world thinking, well, we don't know what that is, and we don't know. And then all of a sudden, when a situation arises that brings knowledge, where we become familiar with a situation, or with our neighbors, or with people, with a community, and all of a sudden we share their joy when things go well, or when there is possibility or hope. And that makes us also speak for them and work with them to continue that as well. Because we now, again, we are seeing them and knowing them. It is the being known that gives us that deep well of joy, which is not based on transient circumstance, but really is something that can be a source for us, something that we can draw upon when our circumstances struggle. So let's try to know each other a little better. Can we do that? Can you find something out about someone that you didn't know before? Ask a question of your neighbor. Not just, hey, how are ya? But like, how are things going for you? What are your plans for the holidays? If they have plans, or if they celebrate the holidays. How are you finding things? If it's someone that you know has a spiritual or faithful background, how is your spiritual journey going? Or where are you struggling these days? What is causing you stress and pain? How can I help? By knowing each other. And I would then encourage also us to then offer ourselves as well, to be open and vulnerable, because of course being known cracks open our little shells and our armor and makes us a little bit vulnerable, right? But also makes us more open to that possibility of joy. So perhaps we can offer ourselves, instead of answering the question, hey, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine, thanks, everything's pretty good. Maybe we could just be a little bit honest. Things are really good right now. Or I'm kind of struggling, whatever. Make yourself a little bit more known. And I think we might find that, just like that child who opens the, or adult who opens a gift on Christmas morning and finds just the right present, just the thing they wanted, we will be overflowing with joy that surpasses the transient feeling of happiness and leads us into working for a better world where all can experience such joy of knowing others and being so well known ourselves. Friends, this week, rather than ending with a prayer or a spoken prayer, I thought I'd end with a song, with a hymn that reminds us of who we are waiting for in this Advent season, for whom we are waiting, and really speaks to Mary's song from this past Sunday in the Magnificat, and the text for the coming week, which are Joseph being called to embrace Mary and embrace the child whom she bears, and to call him Emmanuel, God with us. So you are certainly welcome to be in a spirit of reflection or prayer as you listen to this song, but you also can just listen and enjoy as you feel so moved. O come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel, that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appears. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou day spring, come and cheer our spirits by thy advent here. Disperse the gloomy clouds of night, and death's dark shadows put to flight. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, thou wisdom from on high, and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of knowledge show, and cause us in her ways to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. O come, desire of nations, bind all peoples in one heart and mind. Bid envy, strife, and quarrels cease. Fill the whole world with heaven's peace. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Have a wonderful week, friends.